that, yeah, we're going to go through everything. And then I did send them over to you, but I forgot to hit send yesterday after we talked, or when we talked.
Okay.
But yeah, they should be in your inbox. So we're going to be discussing the items that I sent you this morning. So this is our escrow paperwork, and this literally mirrors what was agreed to in the purchase agreement. They create these based on that document. So we'll go through here. There's just some basic information. In California, we use escrow, which is it's a neutral third party. So they're not working for the buyers or the sellers. They're just literally processing the transaction as a neutral third party. So our purchase price is $520. There was the $5,000 earnest money deposit that you put down. Our close of escrow is May 3rd. And the property for sale is 1923 Browning Street. This is how the title policy to show title vested in your names, Douglas Lemon and Imelda Lemon. If you want a middle initial or anything in those, we can do that, and that will be done on the in this document. So we'll talk about that. Free from encumbrances, basically, with the exception of taxes. That just means that there's a title policy in place that ensures that the sellers are giving you legal title, and they're relinquishing their rights to title when the transfer is made. That's not an issue. Again, we'll look at, this is our preliminary title report. This is, we're going to approve this report, but essentially your lender will make sure that this report is clear and good and concise, because ultimately they hold the note on the property. So they're going to ensure that they have been given clear title as a note holder on the property. So not a lot that we review there. It'll be went through with a fine tooth comb with the underwriter and the lender and make sure. So if there was anything that was unusual in here, the lender would say, hey, we're not going to, we need to clear something up prior to us closing because there's an issue on title. So we just need to approve this report, but very standard. They're issued on every report or every property that's sold. Because that's just an insurance policy ensuring clear title. Buyers' usual closing costs, sellers' usual closing costs, basically escrow split 50-50. You'll pay your fee, they'll pay their fee. You're paying for your lender preliminary policy. And all of these are fees that Steve's already estimated in and has already talked to you. There's nothing new popping up. So what we're discussing today isn't any new fees or anything that Steve hasn't already went over with you. These are the inclusion of what he's already discussed as far as cost. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is just standard information, prorations. They're going to prorate the taxes based on the close of escrow, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So we can go through and read all these, but they're just standard escrow instructions. So it's basically, what I just went over is the gist of it. You're paying $520 for the property. We're going to be closing early in May, and you'll be given title free and clear. So we'll sign that document. This is the approval of the preliminary report. All we're doing is approving that you received a copy of this, which we have. So we'll sign that. The preliminary change of ownership. Again, this is a document that'll go to the county recorder's office. We're going to check mark that it is your principal residence. You are intending it for that. And then all of these other things, we will check mark no, because these is basically for transfers or things like that. If you're transferring between spouses or domestic partners, if there was, a death on the property with one of the title holders, so all of these, based on what we're doing, they'll all be check marked no. I'll check, and I'll be check marking these, when you putting spots for you to check, to click the check boxes. It will be a type of transfer purchase. We'll put in the purchase price here. Escrow will complete all of this other information, and then we'll check mark that it's a single family residence, and we'll sign and date. Documentary transfer tax affidavit is simply stating that there is no exemption on this. Exemptions usually occur when you're just transferring title from one person to another, not in a sales aspect. So these are all the ways that if they did apply, we would check mark those, and that would create an exemption for the documentary transfer tax. Since this is a standard purchase, it will apply the transfer tax. And so we'll just be signing and dating that one. This one here, any questions on that?
No, I don't have any.
No,
Okay.
no.
State privacy, this is just stating that they're not going to share your information with anybody, and they are going to retain documents for a certain amount of time that's required by law. Now, this is probably the most important form in this document so far. This is your vesting form. Now, this is how you guys are physically going to take title to the property. So here is where I mentioned if you wanted to change, add a middle initial or anything, this is where you're going to put it. So you would type it in here, and it'll have a check marks for that you guys can fill, and you'll put in the name how you want it to appear there. Now you're going to check probably husband and wife. That's the most common, right? I mean, we have weird things in the world these days, but so there's a lot of selections here. Husband and wife makes probably the most sense. And then I can't advise you. I'm not qualified. I'm not an attorney or a CPA. I can tell you what other clients do. But if you really have questions, I would consult with an attorney or your tax advisor. But the two ways that married people take title is as joint tenants or as community property with the right of survivorship. So either one of those.
What does that mean?
So, and here, let's look at that, because here's the examples. So here's community property, and here's joint tenancy. So you can go through and see here. They both, in essence, act in the same way, but I've heard from some attorneys that there may be a benefit here in California to taking title as community property. If you look at the preliminary title report, you can see here that the people are selling the property have title as husband and wife as joint tenants. Now, what joint tenancy is you have two or more people, you have ownership interest is equal. There's only one title to the whole property. You have equal rights of possession. If there was a death, co-owner's death, his interest ends and cannot be deposited by will. Now, here's where I think there's maybe some advantages on taking title as community property, because if you read these, they're different. On a co-owner's death, half belongs to the survivor in severalty, which means they retain that. Half goes by will to the decedent's devisees or by succession to the survivor. So this will determine by a will how you want to give title. So really, those are the two things that are different. Now, this can be changed in the future. It's not set in stone, like, oh, I took title as joint tenancy and then I want to change it to community property sometime. That is perfectly possible to do. You would need an attorney to, assist you with that. But that would typically happen when if you were creating a trust or, filing a will, and they were advising you that. So really, either one of those is the standard way that most married couples take title is joint tenancy or community property. And you can see here.
But if something were to happen, the easiest one would be the community property, correct? Like if something happens to me, I don't want Imelda to go through any troubles. It just
that seems to be the case. I'm going to send you a quick video that I found that might give you. It's done by an attorney, so he explains and if I can find it, but I've reviewed it before, and he explains the difference specifically between joint tenancy. But I have my property with my wife. We have title as joint tenants. So it really, there is some difference. Let me find that video. But again, this is probably one of the most important documents. It's how you want to take title. But I'll send you that video and then review this document here and read through these ones and see which one makes the most sense for you guys. Okay. But either one of those. Electronic digital documentation agreement. This is just stating you're agreeing to sign things digitally. This is notice to buyers and sellers regarding tax withholding. If the sellers were legal citizens in the US, which will have documentation that they are, then there would be a withholding by them to cover taxes, but they are legal citizens. So that's not an issue. This is the form that I was talking about, Doug, that I would like you guys to print, and I'll send it separate. This is the confidential information statement. This is where you're going to complete as much information as you can. And this is how title is going to verify that you both are indeed, who you say you are. So, you're going to complete over here, Imelda and Doug, you can complete the second party resident. You're going to check if you're married, any residence you've had in the last 10 years, any occupations that you've had, and again, doesn't have to be precise information. You don't have to, have precise addresses. If you just know the city or the area, you can put that in there. Any former marriages or partnerships here, and then you'll check mark here and then sign and date and email. Any questions on that stuff?
Yeah, if you can send me that, I can print it through my phone, or is it, it's on the,
So I'll send this I'll send this to you when we wrap here today. I'll send it to you just in one-page document.
Okay.
So that way it's separated out. This is again talking about if the owners weren't U.S. citizens, that they have a withholding here for if they're foreign person, but they are, so they just have to acknowledge that. Affiliated business arrangement disclosure. This just states that the escrow company here has additional arrangements with other businesses which we're not utilizing, so they just have to acknowledge that. And that's really that's the wrap of our escrow paperwork. This is our NHD report, which is the natural hazard disclosure report. And let me go back up to the top to look at the summary. And then I sent you a copy of this, but this, you can see this is kind of the summary page, and we will be signing this one. Property isn't in a special flood zone area. It's not subject to potential flooding. It's not in a high fire zone. It's not in a wildland area. It's not on an earthquake fault line, nor a seismic hazard zone for those. So it's not in any of those. So you can see here's kind of another summary. Now, I do want to go down to taxes here, just so you guys are aware. And then let's see here. So there are some, and again, this is stuff that Steve's already estimated in your numbers that you've talked about. There are some special assessments on the property, and this one in particular here, the CFD bond, it's a community facilities development bond, and you can see it was dated 2002. So these are typically 30 to 40 year bonds, but you could call this number here and you can determine the specificity of that particular bond. But if it's in 02, we're 20 years in. So at some point, this could potentially fall off unless they propose another bond and it's voted on and approved by the residents and the people that live in that area. Okay. But at some point, this facility bond will fall off. So that's the only one. These are your ad valorem taxes. These are the base tax rate that taxes are going to be assessed on based on the purchase price. And then these are some supplemental taxes. So I just wanted to share with you on that one, that CFD bond at some point could potentially fall off, and you'll save some money on taxes that are paid annually. And you can call that number and determine all the specifics about that one. The property tax estimator, here, is it completed? I did a supplemental. So when you're paying taxes, how it works when you're purchasing a home is taxes are paid on a fiscal year. So they start in July and end in June. So, and taxes are due in December and in April. So based on the time frame when you buy a property, they're going to reassess the value based on the new sales price. So taxes are paid in the rear. So there's going to be a gap when you pay your mortgage or when you pay your closing costs. You're going to pay taxes up front. They're going to start an impound account for you. but there's going to be a gap, and this is a one time of supplemental taxes to catch you up to the cycle that runs for the county. Does that, I know that's difficult. It's hard to explain, but does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah, we had talked about it already.
Yeah,
Is that 3,600?
That $3,600, yes. So what's going to happen is they're estimating, so they're paying taxes, and what's current due on is what the property was assessed when they purchased the property, or if it's been reassessed. Once a sale is made, they're going to estimate taxes on that new sales price. So there'll be a deficiency only for that 1 year. This is a one-time payment, but you'll pay it twice because of when we're closing escrow. So the first supplemental bill, and why I say this is you're going to get a supplemental bill, and it's going to say supplemental tax bill. Most people will think, oh, it's already included in my impound account, because you have an impound account that's going to pay for future taxes, and you're going to get caught up, and it'll be fine. But as we roll out, so in December, they're going to send you a supplemental tax bill for $283.91. In April, they're going to send you tax bill number 2 of supplemental taxes for $3408.28. Once this is paid, then you'll be caught up, and everything will be in your impound account, like Steve talked about what you're paying in your payment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
yeah.
So I just want to make you aware of that, because a lot of people will get the supplemental bill and go, oh, well, I already paid my impound account, so I'm going to throw it in the trash and not pay it. And then all of a sudden there's late fees and all of that, and they don't understand why. So that's why I'm explaining it, so you guys are aware. These 2 bills, when they come up, and again, these are estimates, but when they come up, they do need to be paid directly to the county assessors.
Okay.
So they won't be in your impound account. So just note that. So with
We
that,
understand it. We don't like it, but we understand it.
yeah, I know, right? Nobody likes it. I don't like it either, but that's the way they do things.
Yeah.
So does you guys have any questions on any of that stuff?
No,
I don't.
No.
Okay. So what I'm going to do then is I got to head to my appointment that I mentioned to you. So, but I will separate that the statement of information sheet out. I'll send that over to you, and then later today I'll get those set up for signing for you guys to sign digitally the rest of the documents.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Give me a holler if any questions come up. I'll see if I can find that video too about the title, like how you guys want to take title. So
Okay.
I'll send that over as well. And with that, you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
All right,
Thank you.
James.
You
Thank
too.
you.
All right.
Have a good
Thanks,
day.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.